Welcome. It's Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Redding, California today, part of our road show. And I want to speak with Matt Moseley. Matt is one of the founders of the Northern California Anti-Trafficking Coalition. And when you say Northern California, you don't mean San Francisco. You mean North State.
Right. Basically, Shasta County and the surrounding counties is what encompasses our general region that we want to help out with.
Sir, North State? Anti-trafficking? I mean, that's a problem of Los Angeles, of San Diego, of border towns, not of North State.
Yeah, you would think that. And I thought that up until a few years ago. I didn't even think that trafficking, I didn't even know what trafficking was, much less that it happened in the United States, and very much less that it happened here in our neighborhoods and in our city.
How did you learn that trafficking was a problem here in Northern California, North State California?
Yeah, I think, when my wife and I first even heard about trafficking, there was a couple that came to our church that was talking about they were going to open a safe house in town for rescuing kids out of trafficking. And we thought, what? Why would we even do that? There's no kids to rescue. And then we started digging, and then we started going online, and then we started talking to people that were involved in bigger areas like Sacramento and Los Angeles, and we found out that it's happening down there. And then we started looking at, okay, what are the indicators of trafficking happening in your city? And then we started coming along websites and girls being offered for sale right on sites similar to Craigslist.
Right. But the good news, though, is at some level having a safe house in Redding is completely appropriate because you really want to get the individual out of an obvious location.
Yes.
Redding, not an obvious location.
Yeah, not an obvious, but I think there's an education gap with that because it's happening in Redding, and now we realize it is. But Redding is a great place because it's such a loving and small community, and Shasta County is such a great, welcoming community that it's a perfect place for a safe house. We have people that are willing to give their time and effort.
So some of the residents of the safe house may be victims here in Shasta County, but others may have come from other locations.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to talk about one particular, let's call her a client of the safe house, who is now part of your family.
Yeah.
What a gift, what a blessing. Tell us about this young girl, about her journey, and about how she has blessed the Moseley family.
Yeah, our daughter, we met her when she was 15. She had been rescued a couple years earlier, and she had been in the safe house for a couple years. And the safe house just did a great job with counseling and just healing and helping her to know her identity.
But to the extent you can,
sure.
What did she suffer? To the extent you can tell us in a broad sense.
Well, so basically, trafficking is defined by Prop 35 is sexual assault by force, fraud, or coercion.
And she met that definition. Okay, so you can imagine what she was suffering as a child.
As a child, yeah.
And so she entered the safe house, and you met her.
Yeah, my wife and I were volunteering at the safe house. We had it in our hearts to adopt a girl that had been rescued out of trafficking. Now that took me.
I know. Why was that in your heart? I mean, God bless you, but what made you? How did that enter your heart?
It was ultimately my wife first. She said she heard this couple that came to our church that talked about trafficking, and she felt like we're supposed to adopt a girl. And I wasn't there that Sunday, so when she called me and told me,
you should have gone to church that day.
What are you talking about? No. And then I thought about it more, and I realized, okay, we are a family that has great support system. I have an extra bedroom in my house.
Right.
I have enough money to put food on the table, and I have the ability to bring one of these girls into my house and change her future.
And I hope it's okay I say you also have a biological child who loves her big sister.
Yes, loves her big sissy.
And so tell us more. Your daughter is now, can I say how old she is now?
Yeah, 6.
No, your adopted daughter.
17.
She's 17. She's been with you for 2 years. Tell us about the last 2 years.
Oh, it's been crazy. If I had realized how difficult it would be to adopt a teenager that you didn't raise, I would have thought twice. But I'm glad I didn't, because you never enter into something with the full understanding of everything you're getting into. We entered into this thinking we understood what we were getting into. It's been so incredibly difficult in some ways, dealing with teenagers and going from a 6-year-old to now having a teenager that you didn't raise, that you have to set boundaries for and talk through expectations.
And how do you do that? I mean, I have a 13-year-old. I have an 11-year-old daughters. I don't need to tell our audience about that age for daughters. And setting boundaries is tricky. You know, that age is about pushing the envelope. And she hasn't had those type of boundaries set. In fact, her boundaries have been violated.
So what we've seen is that be the biggest rewarding aspect of adopting her, because us not knowing anything and her having not a positive background growing up, we've started setting these boundaries and asking other parents and communicating with her like an adult and saying, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're setting this expectation, and having a good dialogue. And that dialogue has been so hard at times, but it's been so helpful because we have an open line of communication.
At some level, though, has she appreciated the boundary setting?
Absolutely. Right. I think if you asked her, she would say no, and then if she thought about it, she'd say yes.
So let's talk about her future. What I think is amongst the most emotionally impactful element of your story is that the adoption will be complete just as she's about to turn 18, when theoretically she wouldn't need adoption. Why are you taking that step?
Because for us and for our daughter, it's about us showing that we're pursuing her. She's worth the time and the energy and the sacrifice. Even though as soon as she turns 18, she could just sign the paperwork and be adopted, she's worth everything. And for her, for us, that speaks her identity into her and how worthwhile she is and how important she is and how much we love her.
And apparently, you got her in time, because this is a young woman, I can call her a woman at this point. She's almost 18, who is thriving in high school. And I guess her education is not going to be completed in high school.
Right.
Tell us about it.
She never really had a desire to even go to high school, much less anything beyond that, until she got into high school and she was empowered, and my wife and I pushed her, and she now wants to go to college. She's going to be applying for Simpson University here. She's a junior right now.
So she's got time.
She's got a little time, but she's got, as of right now, we just talked last night, she has all A's and 1 B as a junior in high school at private school. That's incredible. Kids are resilient.
They are. It is amazing how kids can bounce back. I want to ask a bit about your other daughter, if I may. I presume she's not aware of her big sissy's upbringing. How do you broach that subject when it's time? And I'm sure you'll know developmentally when it's time.
I have no idea. I think we're going to communicate it with honesty, like we do everything, in a age appropriate manner. But I don't know yet.
So, what do you believe when we talk in 10 years will be the story of your eldest daughter? Will she be a teacher? Will she be a lawyer? Will she be a fashion designer? Do you have any predictions?
I have no clue. I know that she's going to be herself. And she wouldn't be herself if she didn't have the family to support her and to push her. We're empowering her to make decisions and to be a grown-up and be herself. And now on the other one, it's actually kind of interesting that we've thought about our little girl, and I think in 10 years, this experience with her older sissy will have shaped her also, and will create in her a desire to go and make a bigger change than she would have without it.
You're amazing. I salute you. I honor you. His name is Matt Moseley. He's the founder of the Northern California Anti-Trafficking Coalition. My name is Brad Pomerance in Redding, California. It's Charter California Edition.